don't have to do it in the middle of the meeting.
We have a caller.
We have
Just let-
someone calling in, the petitioner.
The applicant for the first item is based out of Phoenix.
Right. The post office.
Post office is based in Phoenix.
the architect.
Excuse me for the delay.
Hi, Tony. This is Kat Moody.
Yes, I appreciate your doing this. I was just about to go and call you yesterday when you called me.
Okay.
Something sure up, yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. So what you're going to hear is the beginning portion of the meeting, and then you're the first item on the agenda.
Okay, great, appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Okay, so we'll just go ahead and start, and then I'll give you a chance to speak once I introduce your item.
Okay, 9 o'clock.
Okay, thank you.
So are you going to identify
This
the
is-
members present?
This is the July 14th, 2017 public hearing of the City of Prescott Preservation Commission. Members present are Tony Teeters, Christy Hastings, Michael Mirko, Robert Buford, Mike King, and our chairman, Gary Edelbrock. Staff members present, Kat Moody, our historic preservation specialist, Darla Eastman, recorder, myself, and I just saw George Worley, our planning manager. He stepped out. He'll probably be back. And of course, our Councilman Shishka. This is an open public hearing and is being videotaped and recorded by the city. The proceedings are being televised by representatives of the public media, local cable and radio stations, and may also be rebroadcast. The number of commission members present are 6. It will require 4 votes for a majority. All parties wishing to be heard on an issue are required to raise their hands and be recognized by the chairman prior to speaking. Speakers will be expected to state their name and address for the record, so we may know who is speaking and be able to contact them at a later date if necessary. Please turn.
Darla, don't we have 7 members present?
Rush is not here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Please turn off any cell phones or electronic devices if you haven't already done so. Please sign in the attendance roster before leaving the meeting. Thank you.
We're missing Russ.
And the first item on the agenda?
The first item on the agenda, approval of the minutes of the June 9th, 2017 meeting.
Have you all had an opportunity to read the minutes from the last meeting?
I have.
Any additions or changes that you wish? Would someone make a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting, please? Mr. Mirko?
Second.
Second, Mr. Teeters. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Looks like it's a unanimous approval, 6 to 0.
The next item on the agenda is HP 17005, 101 East Goodwin Street for Historic Preservation District Number 1, Courthouse Plaza. Request for approval for cornice replacement.
Good morning.
Good morning.
This is a request for cornice replacement on the post office that sits just across the street from us here. And you may remember that the previous item brought by this applicant was the window restoration for the post office, and that work has been taking place over the last several years. They have now completed the window restoration work for this building. And the next most pressing issue on this building is the cornice, which you can see here, and I'll show you the photo of the 4 different elevations. So this is the front of the post office building, and then this is the side. This is the rear. So this cornice, and then this is the west face. And then this is a plan view of the cornice as it wraps around the building. And the issue with the cornice, it's a terracotta cornice, which is a traditional cornice material from the period This building was constructed in the 1930s. The issue they're having with the cornice is that there's been water infiltration. And so I've got some shots the architect has provided. You can see here there's a flat plane at the top of the cornice, and then it's mounted to the building using a steel bracket system. And in your packet, you were provided the existing condition, a section view here, where you can see the steel outriggers are called out. And what's happening is on this flat plane here, water has been infiltrating for years. And then these steel brackets are actually rusting in the places where the cornice is compromised. And so I've got a couple of shots that depict some of the existing conditions up close. And you can see we've got spalling occurring, which is the failure here across the surface. And then there's also these conditions in some spots. This is at the corner where you've got that bump out condition where we've got cracking, and then there's water penetration occurring in the cracking locations. And then these are sections that are 2-foot sections of terracotta in length, and then they are then paired together. So this is the interface where it's starting to open up at the seam between those two sections. The proposal is to not use a terracotta cornice as a replacement. The proposal is to use a manufactured foam product, which is, I'm going to pass around samples here and I'll describe to you how the company will match the cornice shape as it is now. So the intention here is to take down an intact section of cornice, provide it to the manufacturer. They will mold an exact profile that will match what's currently on the building. And then this is what's being passed around now is the Styrolock foam by foam concepts. And so it's a lighter weight material than the terracotta, which is quite heavy. And so the intention is to replace the terracotta cornice with, and this is the proposed new condition, and to bracket that back with a modified bracket approach, so that they would not be relying on the steel outriggers that are there now, which are compromised. And I've got a couple of shots. This product has been used in town before, not for a cornice, but the old Summit Bank building at the corner of Willis and Montezuma, that has the windowsills on that building are produced using this material, and that's probably been in place for 8-9 years, and it is weathering quite well, and it doesn't show any signs of compromising. These are a couple of shots of the promotional material from this company. And so these are, designed for exterior conditions. This is a column. Here's a brief, just in the corner kind of shot of some of the cornices that have been used to accent this archway here. And I'd like to give the architect a chance to speak so he can give you a little bit of backstory and fill in any details I may have missed. So, Tony?
Yes. I'm here.
Okay, do you have anything to add to this?
The only thing I've really got to add is that, through all the research that we have conducted looking for a material to replace the terracotta, this is the only thing that is going to be light enough for us to be able to attach to the building and ensure that we're not going to have a structural problem later on. As you can see, the coating that will be going on the foam itself is 1/4 of an inch thick. So it does hold up. The existing building you've got there in Prescott right now, those sills are in very good shape. So we would expect that this replacement will be a permanent fix for the problem.
And with that, I'll turn it over to you all for questions.
I just have one. I'm sorry, go ahead.
And can you speak into the mic just for the...
I just have one question. How will this be attached to the building?
We will be, this is going to be in a multi-phase approach. The first thing we have to go ahead and do is remove 2 of the existing sections of terracotta, which would be on the south side over the loading dock, so that we can see how these existing terracotta sections are actually physically attached. Once we remove that and we can see what is physically back there, because what's been installed is different from the original construction drawings. Once we see what is back there, we'll be able to determine how we can physically attach these new sections to the building. So, like I said, that'll be the first thing to go ahead and do. Once we go ahead and do that, we'll actually have a profile of the cornice that we can send to this company so we can get the exact profile developed for the new cornice sections.
So I have a couple of questions. Is all of the cornice going to be replaced, or just the failing section?
Right now, the entire cornice will be replaced. The reason for that is that since we are unable to physically observe the existing angles, the outriggers, we can't tell what condition they are, so we're going to have to go and replace them all. There are some sections that are badly sagging right now, which makes us believe that all of the outriggers are somewhat compromised.
And another question is, does the cornice currently has a flashing over the top of it? Is that correct?
No, actually, the cornice currently is totally exposed, the top of it, which has allowed moisture to enter most or all of the existing cornice sections.
Oh, okay.
So what we, pardon?
Okay, it was a little confusing. So the bolts that hold the hold the cornice onto these outriggers are exposed in this one photo I'm looking at that Kat has up on there, and they're not covered, so those bolts. However, you're going to hang this off the wall. Once that's determined, there won't be any hardware.
I believe that the bolts have been retrofitted
Retrofit for, yeah.
for the sections that are starting to fail.
So the question about the flashing actually goes to this PVC membrane applied to the top, protect cornice
Yes,
joints.
The plan there is to ensure that there is no further migration of moisture into the cornice. We're planning to go ahead and put this membrane, mastic, apply it to the top so that you're not going to see it from the ground at all. But the intention will be to keep moisture out of the cornice and also back into the building itself to properly flash that such that you won't see any of that from the ground. And then we will be going back also and tuck pointing a lot of the masonry above the cornice so that we're keeping water out of the building itself.
So I'm curious, is the membrane is the first line of defense up there, and it's applied to the top of this new material. I'm wondering how that holds up over time, and just from my experience of
I've installed this same membrane down in Phoenix, which has a lot harsher UV issues than Prescott does.
Uh-huh.
And the first one that I saw, are you familiar with the Metro Center at all?
Yes.
Okay. There is a section of building that was installed, I'm going to say maybe 30 years ago. And I've been up there, and literally you can go ahead and wash off the dirt, and it looks almost new. So this is a PVC membrane that I've used. I've probably installed 500,000 square feet of this, actually down in the Phoenix area, and also up in the some of the colder regions where we've done some work with post offices, and it holds out very well.
So it's you say mastic, it's glued to the top of this new cornice.
That is correct, yes.
That's what holds it in place. And it looks to me like maybe a reglet in the upper.
Yeah, we go ahead and actually install a regular in the masonry above the cornice, because I want to go ahead and keep that vertical leg as low as possible so you don't see it in the ground.
Right. Okay. Thank you. I just have to say one other thing. I like that building a lot because it's all clay.
Yeah.
Even though it's
Yeah.
made to look like dressed stone, and of course these cornices and the other detail in there. A lot of people in town think it's stone and brick, but I understand that something needs to be done. That really is falling apart up there, and I'm hoping that this new material.
Yeah, it's a safety issue at this point, and
Yeah.
the liabilities that
Yeah.
everyone's exposed to. I don't think we want to go ahead and accept those.
I can see that. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
No, and I had one
Welcome.
kind of a small question here. I have the sample here in my hand, and I see the foam. I know, I'm familiar with that, but I'm kind of curious as to what exactly this exterior part is made of. Or is that a trade secret?
Could you hear her question, Tony?
No, I didn't. What was it?
She was asking, do you know what the exterior, the quarter-inch coating is comprised of?
It's a composite material that is impervious to water, and it's also very, very hard, that it's not going to get damaged through hailstorms or whatever. But the intent here would be to replicate the color and texture of the terracotta that's up there right now with this material.
It certainly does look like terracotta. I mean, really, it's kind of awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So it comes, what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to actually send samples of the terracotta sections that we take down, so they can go ahead and replicate the color and texture both. And then, of course, once we go ahead and take down one of the sections, we're going to be able to get the exact profile of the terracotta that's up there.
So it will be completely custom made, right? Custom made?
Yes, it's all custom made. Each section will be molded individually and then coated as you see it, but it's all custom work.
What is your estimated time to complete the entire project, please?
I can't really give you a true estimate, but what I'm trying to go ahead and do is impress upon the post office that we need to go ahead and get it done before the next winter.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Any further questions from the commission members? Can we have a motion then?
Mr. Chairman, I request that we approve agenda item HP 17005, request approval for replacement of cornice.
Teeters
Well,
did.
we have 2 seconds, Mr. Teeters and Mr. Mirko, so
I'll
it
back
makes no
off.
difference.
I'll back off.
All right. We officials can now call for the vote. Those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand.
Aye.
Aye. There are no dissenting votes, but, so the motion passes 6-0, and please get started on it. Hey, I go to that post office three times a week, so I don't want it to fall on my head.
Yeah, we don't want to go ahead and issue hard hats to people going in and out.
I just have one quick question. Is this federally funded?
It is funded by the post office.
Okay.
Yes.
Last I heard, that was federal government.
Thank you very much for your time, Tony.
Hey, thank you very much and for allowing me to go ahead and do this by the telephone.
Okay, goodbye, Tony.
Okay, you all have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
We had a request to pull the second item from the agenda until they could revise their fencing plan. So we will be reviewing that item next month on August 11th. So we're moving on to item number 3.
I'm very disappointed.
Well, you can have something to look forward to in August.
Hey,
Darla, are you going to read it?
Next item on the agenda, HP 17006, 1107 Old Hacienda.
Nope.
Nope.
We're doing.
Third
I'm
item.
sorry. That's 007, 824 East Gurley Street, Historical District Number 11, Prescott Armory. Request for approval for window restoration and ADA bathroom remodel.
Just a moment. Can you grab the red folder? I grabbed the wrong one. It's on the desk behind my desk, and it'll have the other, move your photos forward. I have my other folder coming. Sorry about that. This is a request for replacement of windows at the Armory, as well as an ADA restroom retrofit. And this is being brought to us by the facilities management manager for the city of Prescott. And I'll start with this while I'm waiting for the rest of my materials to come. This is and the windows at the Armory have through the years been retrofitted in many of the offices that line the two sides of the Armory, have been retrofitted with these air conditioning units. And originally the building would have had windows that were, complete, and then they had a steel bar arrangement to protect the windows. And in many cases, the retrofitting of the air conditioners in the windows, then in order to accommodate that, they had cut the steel bars. And I've got some other pictures I'll show you in a moment. But this is a pretty typical scenario. In some cases, the windows have not had an air conditioner put in there, but the bars have been cut. And in some cases, glass panes have been retrofitted with everything from different colored glass to plastic panels in these broken window panes. So this proposal is to basically restore the windows to a condition that was their original condition. This example here, side by side, is the example of the pilot window that we have had a window restoration specialist come in. And this window to the left used to look just like this window to the right. And so we had Paul Lester come in to do a proof of concept to determine that we would be able to duplicate or you restore the window to its original condition. So in this case, this is a restored window, but you can see, let me find one that's got what an original window would have looked like that still has the bars on it. And so this is, the proposal is to reglaze, to repair in any of these locations that have the air condition and the missing panels. Like this has a wood infill panel here. And so the proposal is to reconstruct the metal frame for the actual glass panes. And then in the cases where the steel bars have been cut, to recreate the steel bars. And these are custom forged bars that were created for this pilot project here. And then the glazing being placed back into the windows would be, it is a single pane. It's a very thick, energy efficient glazing, but it isn't a double pane, so there's still an original condition of a single pane window, but it's highly energy efficient, so the building will be able to actually have an energy performance improvement by placing this extra thick glazing into this window. The thing that made this possible is that the city recently installed a new HVAC system for these offices. So these serve Parks and Rec Administration offices and then Access 13 offices. Access 13 is in the east side of the armory in these spaces that have these windows. And I've got pictures here of these are the first floor windows. There are smaller windows on the second level, and those do not have the bars. They never did have the bars. So in that case, it's really just repair of any of the steel work for the windows and then replacing that glass with the energy efficient single pane glass. So that is the window item. The second item is a request for retrofitting an ADA bathroom in the rear of the building. This is in the northeast corner of the building. This is just adjacent to the stage space off the gymnasium. This stairwell is not currently used. This door at the bottom of this stairwell, there's a door just to the left of where I'm standing taking this photo. And so there really is, let me see if I've got a shot that you can see that actually. So this door is permanently locked shut currently. This is a set of doors that goes out to an exterior landing that has access to the same stairway at the rear of the armory. So this stairwell is currently not used, and it's an opportunity to retrofit an ADA bathroom into this space. And so I do have a floor plan that shows this is the existing condition. So this is, the photo I just showed you was taken looking down. This is that door that's permanently locked. There's another, that double door here out to a landing that's not depicted. So the idea is to work in this area to be able to create a bathroom retrofitted into this space. The dashed lines here are the walls to be demoed, which is basically to remove that stair structure and then build a floor across that section level, obviously, with the existing floor that serves that area. So the gymnasium is just off here to the right side of this image. And so this would allow for an ADA bathroom to be retrofitted. That door would be eliminated because we've got the other double set of doors here that serve to provide access to the exterior. So the only external change to the building would be this door would be eliminated. And Mick, do you know what the exterior treatment for that item is going to be?
You really got me with that one.
Okay.
No, I haven't talked to Bill about what the plans are for that door.
Okay. One option, and when I was there speaking with Wayne, he wasn't sure whether they were going to leave the door and just frame behind it, or stucco have a stucco panel over that exterior door. It is at the rear of the armory and is generally not visible to the general public. This is a shot of the rear of the armory, and the door in question is tucked behind this section. This stair is the stair that's coming down off that area. So it's not a very frequently visited section of the building. And then I wanted to mention, and I know that paint is not something that requires a permit, but the facilities department is looking at painting this rear wall of the building. It's in bad need of paint. And then also there's these vertical walls that are up at the top, and they intend to match the roof color. There is a curved arched roof here that was recently completed, and they intend, it's a sort of a mustardy brown color, and they intend to match the color of that roof for both the vertical wall and then the rear wall of this structure so that it's consistent throughout. And with that, I will turn it over to you all for questions. And I do have Mick Fennick here. He's the facilities manager for the city of Prescott.
Mr. Fennick, would you step forward? Only so we can ask your questions.
Good morning. Good to see y'all.
I just wondered how many, are these all of the windows around the entire building, and approximately how many, or just the uppers?
There's approximately 12 windows left that have either missing bars or air conditioning units that have been retrofitted in. And then there are, I believe, is it 11? You have
There's 11 on the top
11
level.
on the top level that have been damaged either by forcing air conditioning, exhaust, or units up there that need to be replaced. The facilities division did budget some monies this year to do this project. We may be going forward into another fiscal year to finish it, because the idea is to replace all of the old glass with this. It's called Soltec. It's a laminated glass, so that if somebody were to throw a rock or whatever at it, it's like a windshield glass, if you will. But it's highly efficient, energy efficient. It's got a coefficient of 1.6, which is, I think, is about as good as you can get even on dual glazed glass. So it's a good product.
The rocks will bounce off of it.
They will bounce off unless somebody hits it really, really hard, and then it'll crack like a windshield would crack. Yeah.
Are
And
you suggesting our public works department force those air conditioning units in?
Well, it happened. I've only been with the city 12 years, so it happened before that. I don't know when it happened, but it did happen before that.
Mr. Chairman, Kat, could you please put up a picture of the glass with the bars? Some of those initial photos. Okay, there you go. That's great. Thank you. So those bars, I could imagine we're talking armory here. We're talking protection, safety, well, mostly security. Do those things go into the sill, into the wall? And so The new ones will just be more cosmetic to match those. You don't have to drill holes in the building to put those bars in there again.
Where they've cut the bars out, there's a stub left. So they'll be able to weld onto that stub.
Okay,
They left a little stub when they cut those off.
Okay, yeah, so you are trying to replicate, it gives you that security then as well, not just cosmetic, but it
Right.
fully integrates the new into the old.
Right, but all the lower windows did originally, at least on the front 3 sides, had bars on the windows.
Okay. That's it for me for now.
If you were to stage this, would the windows be first or would the bathroom be first?
I think the windows are
I think
intended.
the windows are going to probably be first. We're going to get started on that project as soon as we get, the permission to go forward.
And then I want to make a note, because we are working with the Questers, both the Thumb Butte Questers and the Yavapai Questers organizations, and we are seeking grant money that would help to reimburse the city for this project. And we toured with the Questers group, their leadership, earlier this week, and they are very interested in supporting the window restoration project. So we may be able to get money to help reimburse the city for the steel work. They won't be able to support the reglazing because it's a modern material, but all the rest of the work, they would be able to help offset the cost to the city. So they actually want to pursue both the local chapters to contribute, apply at the state level for a grant, and they feel it would be a good candidate for an international grant as well.
Wonderful.
Yes.
That is, I just completely think that's a wonderful solution to this, with the city having its financial problems, having to put a lot of extra money into detail to preserve a look, which is what, we like visually, but pragmatically, is it really necessary? This is perfect opportunity to get money from individual citizens, private money actually, to help with this. I think that's a great collaboration. I love that idea.
Yeah, and I also want to mention that the restroom retrofit is a CDBG project. So all the work that we've outlined today has some kind of an offsetting grant funding.
Great.
Or potential, yeah.
Any further questions?
Mr. Chairman, please. What Christie just said was about cosmetics, but I see energy efficiency here as well. I mean, we're no longer have the window air conditioning. We've got the centralized system. So let's bring our windows up into compliance to be more efficient. So it's more than that. But the last thing was that last little thing about, how that's why eyewitnesses are so lousy. I go by the back of that armory all the time because I work at the cemetery. That's not painted now. This is a new topic, by the way. That's not painted now, is it?
Yes, it is.
It is, okay.
Yeah,
Well, thank you. See,
and the
That's
paint?
paint?
Yeah, this is
yeah,
paint
that's what I mean.
here.
I've seen it a million times, but I don't remember if it was painted or if it was the natural wall. So you're going to put new paint on new paint. On old paint, excuse me. So yeah, I just and I expect that'll come forward when you want to paint, or do you need approval for that too?
Paint it does not require a permit.
Okay,
So
so
I just
we've
mentioned
already
it
made the
here
yeah.
so that you would
Yeah.
all be aware.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see that the lower bays are painted a gray color.
Yeah, that part I can
And
see.
then, now there is stonework here. These are stone coins in the corners.
Mm-hmm.
But then the primary base wall surface would be painted.
Yeah,
Okay.
repainted.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I want. Thank you very much.
Anything further? Well, I don't have this is not in my package, but you if you would make the motion.
Mr.
to
Chairman,
approve.
I recommend we approve the HP 17-007, which is the historic preservation of the Armory, including the window restoration and the AD bathroom remodel.
Do we have a second?
Oh, I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Hastings. So we have a motion to approve. It's been seconded by Christy Hastings. So if you would indicate by raising your right hand.
Aye.
Okay?
Aye. There's no dissenting vote, so it passes 6-0. Please proceed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
There's your, oh, I got your other. Can you hang out for just? Okay, moving on to other items of note. We are still working on potential criteria for noticing of neighbors, and so you should be seeing that in the next couple of months. It may be at next month's meeting for an open item for discussion. And does anybody else have something to contribute? Okay.
Oh, I did. I wanted to ask you about the convention.
Yes. So
date.
the State Historic Preservation Conference was held in Oro Valley, and I did attend that to represent the city. It had a very heavy emphasis on archaeology this year. I think in large part because the city of Oro Valley has spent quite a bit of effort in its archaeological sites that are there in the area. And so several field trips were to archaeology sites. I did attend 2 of those that were one down by a mountain and then another up in the Oro Valley area.
Are those mostly Indian sites, or
Yes.
is there some urban archaeology going on?
No, they were Indian sites, yes. And then attended sessions on some downtown redevelopment plans and other associated preservation policy type of sessions. So anyway, it was very well attended, but it had a slightly less architectural emphasis than in previous years. We are still vying to get the conference here, which would be hosted at the Hacienda Inn, and then utilize the Elks Theater as well, and the new second and third floor spaces in the Elks building. And we are in competition with Scottsdale, I believe, for that, but I have a feeling I will have an announcement coming soon regarding that.
Do we have enough room there in the Elks building to accommodate a large conference like that?
We think we would be able to, using the Hacienda and its associated building to the north, all of their meeting rooms, which is the way it was last time when it was here. But last time we used the third floor of Tiz Gallery and the Elks and St. Michael Ballroom. But with the new space in the Elks, we likely could just keep it at the top of the hill there between the Elks and the Hacienda.
Very nice. I'd like to see that building, that wonderful project, get used.
Yes, yeah.
Christy, do you want to get married or something? They do.
No, I'm going on 50 next year.
Wow.
Yes, so cross your fingers. I think it's very likely we will be selected for next year's conference, and they're working on negotiating deals right now, and so hopefully it will be here.
That would be good.
And that's all I have.
Mr. Chairman, if I might, an update, something came to my attention last week, and I think, some of our viewers actually might watch this show and want to know what's happening with some of this meeting, excuse me. A couple months ago, we dealt with the Pinecrest subdivision area up there, and we had on Apache Drive, we had probably a good dialogue here from the neighbors. Could you tell us the current conditions of what's going on Apache? Because you and I talked about it, and I caught it from the neighbors up there asking about the process, so.
Yeah, so I had the neighbor who had come in that was just to the west of the request actually stopped back in to let me know that that project, which had the tower and then the addition, the owners of that property elected to sell the property. They decided it was going to be too expensive to do what they wanted to do. So that house is actually for sale. So that will not be, the project that you did eventually approve is not going to be moving forward.
Well, that's an interesting question, if I might. Does the approval track with the property, or if, say, somebody new wants to do that, or has that ever occurred before even? Or maybe I should not open that can.
It hasn't occurred, but my understanding, like we have an approval for redevelopment of the Pierce property there beside the Chamber of Commerce.
Oh.
And my understanding is that if that ever were to be submitted for permitting, as long as it was presented exactly as approved, it would be able to be constructed, because we don't have an expiration on the approvals with this commission. So it really, whether it's one property owner or another, it's not the actual submitting, the applicant, it's the work has been approved, as long as it's the same scope of work that was approved here before. But we haven't had that happen.
We approve a project, not the owner.
Right. And chances are, most owners want to do something different than the previous owners, but they
I
may
would think that
see an
would not
expediency in having a pre-approved design, and they could move forward with it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you, Kat.
Yep.
Anything further? Then we shall adjourn our meeting, and it is now 8:47. Meeting adjourned.